Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for clicking on today's video. Happy New Year. I hope you had a great time celebrating with friends and family. And as you saw a couple of uploads ago, I uploaded the last video in my Orion series. And throughout the whole experience, I developed some thoughts and opinions on the overall grind and how it was from my perspective. So I just wanted to go over my experiences with the overall grind in MW2 and talk about what changes I would personally make to the grind, because I hear a lot of people saying that this is the easiest mastery camo in a Call of Duty game like ever in its history. So I wanted to shed my light on that. So yeah, let's get right into it. So I'm going to start with my overarching opinion of the Orion grind in general, and then we're going to break down each stage. So we're going to break it down into gold, platinum, poly, and then eventually Orion. And we'll talk about each of those stages and which I think were good, which I think were really not good. Because, spoiler alert, I think they kind of messed up how you unlock each segment of eventually getting to Orion. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. And then we'll end the video with my changes that I would personally make if I was a developer at Infinity Ward, maybe for next game or whatever. So my overall opinion of the Orion Mastery Camo grind in Modern Warfare 2 was it's good. Good meaning accessible and easy. Now, I think there's this whole trend with Call of Duty games now that they're catering to the more casual player base. We've seen that within Warzone. We've seen that with the lower TTK in the new games. Call of Duty as a franchise, as a brand, they obviously want to make the most money possible. And what is going to give them the most money? Catering to the few 0.1% of sweats who think TTK should be high and they want the longest mastery camo grind ever? No, they're gonna cater to the casual player base who plays maybe 1-2 hours a day, and that's what's gonna generate revenue. You want to sell as many copies of your game to as many people as possible. That's how you're gonna generate the most revenue. So I think this overall shift to the more casual player base was definitely apparent within the Orion camo grind. My next thought is that the overall order in terms of progression and difficulty is kind of mixed up throughout the grind. You'll see that when I break it down into the individual components of the Orion grind, but I feel like Platinum was too hard, too time consuming, and Poly was the easiest thing ever. And it shouldn't be like that in my opinion. I think progress should be linear, difficulty should be linear within the camo grind. Gold should be the easiest, and then Poly and Orion should be the hardest. I think that's, it makes it more of a challenge, makes it more exciting when you finally do unlock it. Because I felt that when I did the Poly challenges, I was like, oh, okay, that was a little bit too easy. And then you get around, it's like, cool, but why was Poly easier than Plat and Gold, right? And then my last overall opinion is that Shipment took the minimum difficulty that was in the grind in the first place and took it to 0. Shipment made the grind not a grind, if that makes any sense. I completed Polyatomic in, I want to say 10 to 12 games of Shipment, maybe 15. But it's just crazy how much easier Shipment made it. I know a lot of my friends did the grind without Shipment, and they say it just took the difficulty out of completely. So that's my overall opinion of the grind in general. Now let's get into each component of how you unlock Orion. So obviously we're going to start with the gold camo. And in my opinion, the gold camo was probably the strongest part of the Orion grind that Infinity Ward did. Gold seemed to be the right difficulty for the level of what you get for the gold camo, right? So let's start with the challenges that you need to do to actually unlock the gold camo unlock. So there's 4 challenges, and they could be ADS kills, they could be double kills, they could be just kills in general, they could be behind the back kills, crouch kills, whatever, right? So I think that a lot of those challenges were good. The double kills were great. The ADS kills were great. However, the ones that make you physically change the way you play your game and make you just shoot stationary, like the mounted kills, the prone kills, the, ones like that, I think those detract from the fun of the game. So the basic reason for that is I don't want to be just aiming down a long lane of sight to get a mounted kill instead of being able to just run freely and use my gun how I want to use it, right? So I think that although the camo grind should make you change your playstyle a little bit, I felt like it was a little too much and with too many weapons. So that's my first point. I think that these base camo challenges should not make you change your playstyle that much more than you normally would. So I think great challenges that should be within those 4 initial camo unlocks are double kills, ADS kills, behind the back kills, revenge kills, kills when you're low, stuff like that don't really alter the way you play. You can just kind of unlock them by playing the playstyle that you want to play in the game. And then we move on to the actual gold unlock challenge itself, which in this game for the ARs and for the most guns was getting 3 kills without dying 10 times. Now I think that this was reasonable, maybe a little on the easy side. In past Call of Duty games such as Black Ops 3, it was bloodthirsties, which are 5 kill streaks, and I think you have to get 5 to 10 of them, right? And for me, I think it's 50-50. This isn't the worst part of the camo challenges at all. I think, you know, you'll get some people who say the 3 kill streaks were fine, but then a lot of other people who were saying, you know, bloodthirsties are actually a challenge, 3 kill streaks aren't long enough. You can get them like without even trying. And part of me thinks that yes, sometimes I did get 3 kill streaks without even trying, because with bloodthirsties, it's a little bit more challenging in terms of ammo conservation. You know, your aim has to be a little bit better to kill 5 enemies. But that bit, you know, it's up for debate. I'm not too pressed on, you know, if you prefer bloodthirsties or 3 kill streaks. That bit's not too, you know, controversial in my opinion. In terms of launchers, it was just getting 2 kills without dying. And that was pretty easy. You know, most of the launchers are lock-on. Shipment made it super easy. With melee, it was the same idea, getting 2 kills without dying. Not too bad. The right shield was a little tricky, but I think in general, you know, every single gold challenge was pretty well balanced. But now the good news starts to go a little bit downhill. We're moving on to the platinum portion of the Orion grind. And for me, this is the part where I had the most issues with. And in terms of having fun with the game, platinum made me the most frustrated, I think is the right word for it, because of the length of time and the boringness of the challenge itself. So in Modern Warfare 2, the Platinum Camo Challenge required long shots. So if you've played Call of Duty before, you'll know that long shots is super boring. Like, you'll just post up at one point along the line of sight on a map and just spray your gun whenever you see an enemy in your crosshair. And that's it. You can't do anything else. You can't rush them because it's not long enough. You just have to sit back and play like an absolute weirdo. And you know, you do it and you're like, man, this is so boring. And to do it for like 50 weapons, or obviously not all of them are long shots, but for like the majority of weapons to do that, it just took so long. And it was the hardest and most time consuming part of the grind by far. Poly was so much easier. And in my opinion, the Plat challenge should have been the Poly challenge. I'll talk about that in the changes I would do section of this video, but the Plat challenge was so much harder than Poly, which makes no sense at all. Like, I don't know what the devs were thinking when they, like, you know, made the challenge as such, but like, Plat shouldn't be harder than Poly, in my opinion. In terms of regular guns like SMGs, assault rifles, LMGs, stuff like that, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just have to sit on shoot house or whatever long line of sight you want to do and just get long shots, right? But where I have a little bit of a problem with the Platinum Camo was with launchers. So for Platinum launchers, you had to destroy enemy kill streaks, equipment, field upgrades, stuff like that. And for some reason, they were all different amounts. Like the Strela P was 25, the RPG was 10. So I think if I were to change it, I'll elaborate that on later, but I would make them all uniform. I don't know why some launchers have more requirements than the others. It doesn't really make sense to me. But overall, it's not a bad Platinum challenge. I think that it's a lot easier than a lot of the launcher challenges in previous Call of Duty titles. So you can shoot down any kill streaks in this game. And, you know, UAVs and counter UAVs were by far the easiest streaks to shoot down. And with previous Call of Duty games, you had to do, like, in Black Ops 3, it was hardened sentries, guardians, and something else, I think. But it was 3 specific streaks. No UAVs, no counters, which made it a lot harder because not everyone ran them, right? So I think that level of difficulty for launchers was a little bit more appropriate, because I think with this one, you just shoot down, you know, 10 UAVs and then you're done, which I think is a little bit easy for Platinum, if I'm being honest with you. In addition to that, some of the launchers were even lock-on launchers. So the Joker and the Peeler, you could literally lock onto UAVs, counters, and shoot them down, which took the difficulty out of it that much more. Obviously with the RPG and the Strela, they weren't lock-on, which was an appropriate amount of difficulty in my opinion. So yeah, the launches were a little bit of a hit or miss, but yeah, overall the Platinum Camo was super boring. Personally, I don't believe that long shots should take up that much of a camo grind, because I think in terms of time distribution between each of the parts of the Orion grind, Platinum took up, I want to say like 60 to 70%, which is an insane amount, and I don't think it should be like that personally, but anyway. Now we can move on to Polyatomic, which in my opinion is the biggest joke of this whole camo grind. The challenge is so ridiculously easy, it should be like one of the base ones before you unlock gold. It's 20 headshots. Like, I don't see how the devs were looking at the camo grind and they're like, yes, Polyatomic should only be 20 headshots after all the long shots for platinum. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, it blows my mind at how this like passed the dev team and they thought that this was a good idea. Like, Polyatomic was so ridiculously easy with the inclusion of shipment, but even without shipment, it would have been so easy. Like, for me, Polyatomic should be that much harder than platinum, but it was like the complete opposite. To me, it was easier than gold. As I said before, I think Poly was easier than getting 3 kills without dying 10 times, which is crazy to think about, and I don't think it should be like that. I think this was a serious misfire by Infinity Ward. I don't see how they allowed Poly to be so easy, especially in comparison to Platinum. Like, I don't get it, and as you can see, we have a little guest joining us. This is Sebastian, for those who don't know him, my boxer. In my opinion, Polyatomic should have been much harder, and it just shocks me how easy it was. Like, I didn't even think I was camo grinding when I got Poly, because I did like 7 guns in like 5 minutes. It was just crazy. It didn't feel like a grind. Just for comparison, in Black Ops 3, the Policia camo was one of the ones before gold, and it by itself was 100 headshots. 100 headshots, not 20 like Poly in MW2. It was 100 headshots, but one of the base camos before gold, before diamond, before dark matter. So that just puts it in perspective for you, right? How easy Poly is in Modern Warfare 2. And for Polyatomic launchers, it was just double kills, and on shipment, double kills was so easy to come by. Even the Joker was easy on shipment. So yeah, Polyatomic launch is not a problem. And the knife and the riot shield were pretty simple too. It was just kills from behind. Obviously, when they made the riot shield 3-hit kill, it was a little bit more difficult, but shipment took the difficulty out of it pretty much. Like, I saw people complaining about the difficulty, how saying it was hard for the riot shield, but I didn't experience that. I got the knife in 1 game on shipment, and I think the riot shield took me 2 games of hardpoint on shipment. So yeah, not a problem at all. And then once you got Poly on every gun, you got Orion, and then that's it. The Mastery Camo is done. Arguably the easiest Mastery Camo in Call of Duty history. Now we're going to move on to the section where I talk about the changes I would implement if I were the devs and I had the chance to change the Orion grind. So let's jump into that right now. So the first big point that I would change was the linear progression and the difficulty. I put a graph on screen now, it's very simple. But this is the path that I think that the Orion camo grind should have taken. You start easiest with gold, you get harder with plat, you get harder with poly, and then once you unlock the Orion camo, you feel like you actually achieved it because the difficulty increased every camo challenge. It wasn't that, oh, gold was pretty good, platinum was horrible, then suddenly you're back down in easiness for poly. It shouldn't be like that. I think the linear difficulty would make it more rewarding overall as a grind, as a mastery camo grind, as it should be. As you can see, we're gonna have a guest for the rest of the commentary, aren't we? Okay, so the next big change I would make is actually to the gold section of the camo grind, and that is making some of the camos before the gold unlock a little bit more fluid and require less people to change their playstyle. So I think I would remove the challenges such as crouch kills and prone kills, and instead add more double kills, more revenge kills, more kills from behind, more ADS kills, more regular kills even. Just so you don't have to be mounted and waiting 20 kills and then you can finally play how you want to again. Or you have to lie down in the middle of the map to get 20 prone kills, right? So that's the next change I would make. Additionally, I would also increase the amount of kills needed for the knife for gold. I think that the knife was far too easy and overpowered in this game. Like, especially with it being a one-hit kill, you would never lose a melee battle. And on shipment, for example, you smoke it mid, you just spam your knife, you will always get the kills. Like, it's far too easy in my opinion. Even if you weren't on shipment, small maps like Shoot House, Farm 18, they were very easy to get the melee kills. So I think I would increase the amount for the gold challenge, and I think that would be a little bit more rewarding at the end of it. The next big fundamental change I would make is to the platinum camo. Instead of it being the long shots, I would make platinum headshots. So we're basically switching the difficulty in the arrangement of poly and platinum. So for me, platinum would be 100 headshots. I think that's pretty reasonable. 20 is far too easy in my opinion. So I think 100 headshots is kind of like a nice middle ground for platinum, and it would thus feel more like a grind, an actual mastery camo grind. I don't think 100 headshots is out of the question, right? On one game of shipment, how many headshots would you get? Maybe 20 to 30, maybe 40, or maybe 50 if it's a hard point game, right? So 100 isn't that hard, in my opinion. On top of that, I would change the platinum launches to 15 kill streaks each, instead of the RPG having 10 and the Strela having 25 and, you know, whatever else. I think I'd make it uniform across all launches. and that would add a little bit of consistency with the launcher platinum challenges. Platinum knife and riot shield, I was pretty happy with that segment of the grind. I think that the kills within 10 seconds of each other, the 2 kills within 10 seconds, weren't bad at all, especially on shipment, as I keep on saying. But yeah, that wasn't too bad. I would keep that the same. I think they did a great job with the melee weapons. So now we're moving on to polyatomic, and since we changed the plat and polyatomic challenges around, I think we have to bring the long shots to polyatomic. And I wouldn't change the amount. The amount of long shots, 20 long shots, is not the problem. It's that the platinum was so much harder than polyatomic for me. So 20 long shots was keeping it the same amount for polyatomic for every weapon. For polyatomic launchers, it was double kills, and I don't think that's too bad of a challenge. However, maybe to spice it up a little bit, maybe we could do like 1 bloodthirsty with the launchers. I don't know how viable that would be, but maybe throw in something crazy and cool like that. So 1 bloodthirsty to get polyatomic launchers, maybe. But if I'm being honest, I think the way that Infinity Ward did it with the double kills was not bad at all, so I'm fine with that. And again, for the knife and the riot shield, I think the kills from behind were a fun challenge. Maybe increase it from 20 to maybe 40 or something like that. But the challenge was fun. Behind the kills was fun on shipment. You run around, try and get them in the back. It was super fun. And yeah, with that, once you do all those challenges, Orion would be done. I think the way that I planned it out, I think the linear progression would be more satisfying for many players. You really feel like you're going up through the Orion grind, not up, down, up, down, up, down. And I think having the long shots for poly would make it more desirable. Like, we get such a beautiful camo in polyatomic, but we only need 20 headshots to get it. As I said, it's all in line with the accessibility. They want more casual players to get these camos. And while that's okay, I think that for overall the experience and the satisfaction for the grind, that linear increasing difficulty would be more engaging for players, personally. So yeah, those are the changes I would make to the Orion camo grind. Please let me know if you agree, disagree with any of the comments that I made. Now we'll move on to like overall conclusions about this video and about the Orion grind for Modern Warfare 2. So the big question we have to ask ourselves about the Mastery Camo is that, are we okay with Call of Duty developers making them more accessible, making the challenges a lot less grind heavy, a lot easier for the more casual players who don't have time to dedicate 10 to 20 hours a day to get the grind, right? Or do we want to go back in time to the old days where Mastery Camos were a lot more elusive, they were a lot more difficult to find out in public matches, where now you see Orion in every game you're in? What do we want as a Call of Duty community? I'll leave that question up to you, and that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you did enjoy. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Please leave a like if you did enjoy. And obviously, let me know what you think about my changes that I proposed to the Orion grind. And if you do have Orion, let me know what you thought of the experience in general. With that, thank you very much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.